Well, I say welcome back to the channel, everybody. We are just a few days from spring. If you've looked at your dormant lawns lately real closely and you see some green kind of popping through the canopy there, it means your lawn's waking up. It's ready for 2022 lawn season, which means you too need to get ready for 2022 lawn season, and you need to get your fertilizer game in check. So, if you haven't noticed, fertilizer prices are up just a little bit, and so I thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and compare some of the less expensive fertilizers like the house brand or the white labeled fertilizers you can find at any local big box store or even a smaller hardware store, and compare those to the name brand fertilizers that you would find in the very same store. So if you've been to the hardware store recently, you can't walk in the door without tripping over a paddle fertilizer or seeing new mowers, ride-on mowers, trimmers, blowers, whatever the case may be. They're everywhere because it's that time of year. Spring is when everyone goes out and they spring rush buy all of these products because they want to get their lawns in shape for the year. So if you're like me and you walked in the hardware store and you saw the price of fertilizer recently, you probably had a heart attack when you saw some of the price tags.
Mother of God.
So I wanted to take a look at some of those cheaper options so we can compare them to the more expensive options, and we can see if those house brands are junk or if they're any good. So my first stop, when I went to Home Depot, I looked at their Vigoro, which is their house brand. It's a 2904 analysis, and this comes in at $38. And this bag covers 15,000 square feet. In fact, all the products that we're going to look at are 15,000 square foot coverage just to keep it a level playing field. But if you flip over the bag of Vigoro, of that 29% nitrogen, 21% of that is from a polymer coated urea. If you don't know what polymer coating is, it's a manufacturing process where they coat the urea prills to allow that urea to be a slow release form of nitrogen, because urea for the most part is a fast release nitrogen source. So along with that, you get 7.2% methylene urea, which is also a slow release urea, just a little bit different form, but it's primarily for nitrogen efficiency, so a little bit fancier, if you will. But then on the polymer coating, they also give a sulfur coating, which is something you don't see very often, but the sulfur coating helps if that polymer coating fails, say that it breaks or something in the manufacturing process doesn't work out like it's supposed to. The sulfur coating helps retain the slow release properties of the PCU. It's also known as a PSCU, polymer and sulfur coated urea. So along with that, I went ahead and looked at some Scotts Turf Builder. In fact, you see tons of Scotts brands at these hardware stores, and they all have these marketing claims of their Summer Guard or their Winterizer or whatever the case may be. These are all just marketing terms that kind of help lead you to when to use these types of products. Although some of them, you can use them at any time. Scotts Turf Builder seems to be the flagship brand for Scotts, so I wanted to use some Turf Builder. And the Turf Builder analysis is a 3204, and this comes in at $51 for a 15,000 square foot coverage product. In that bag, you get 12% urea, all fast release. You get 7% ammoniacal nitrogen, which is ammonium sulfate, which is all fast release. You get 6% of the methylene urea, so 6% of a little bit of slow release nitrogen in there, and then also a 10% sulfate of potash as the potassium source. So if you look at the difference between these two labels, between the Vigoro and the Scotts Turf Builder, there's not a lot of differences in here aside from the fact that you get a little bit of ammonium sulfate in the bag compared to the Vigoro, which doesn't have any ammonium sulfate. But for the most part, both have urea, both have methylene urea, and really there's not a whole lot of differences here for the $12 difference that you're going to get between these two bags. So you may notice there's going to be a theme of that here as we transition over to Lowe's, is where I stop next. And I happen to, the first thing I see when I walk in the door is the Scotts Green Max. Scotts Green Max, this analysis is a 2702. It comes in at $53, so a few dollars higher than the Scotts Turf Builder, which is the flagship brand for Scotts. But if you flip over the bag of Green Max, and this is going to tell you why the Scotts Green Max is probably my favorite product from the Scotts company, but you get 8% of the ammonium sulfate of ammoniacal nitrogen, you get 10% urea, you get 7% of methylene urea, but you also get 5% iron in the form of iron sucrate, which is the fast release iron source. This is going to be better than iron oxide. If you see a bag of product that has iron oxide in it, know that that is a very, very, very slow release form of iron and going to give you very little return on your application. So iron sucrate is what you want. So Scotts Green Max is definitely going to give you that deep, dark, quick green that you're looking for, which is the reason why it's my favorite Scotts product. It also has high quality ingredients in it. So let's compare that to the house brand at Lowe's, which is called Stay Green. Stay Green is a 2905 analysis, and it comes in at $41. So in the Stay Green, if you flip over the bag, at 28% urea, 6% of that is from a polymer-coated urea. We have less than 1% of ammonium sulfate, or the ammoniacal nitrogen. Then we also have 5% muriate of potash. Now, muriate of potash compared to the sulfate of potash that's in the Scotts, the muriate has a little bit higher salt content, but this bag also does have 2% iron in the form of sucrate, which is a good thing. So I definitely think the Stay Green product, I think, has a slight advantage over the Vigoro product for just a few dollars difference that there is there, because you get the iron sucrate, you also get the muriate of potash, but then you also get a little bit more urea, and you get ammonium sulfate in the bag, albeit it's very low. So when you're looking at these products and the way that they compare between the Scotts and the house brand products you can find in the big box stores, there's not a lot of differences between these products. I think you're going to get a very similar outcome in the results that you get for the extra spend. You know, if you want to save $10, $12 on these fertilizers, I think you're going to be happy with the results whether you buy them or not. So my third stop, I went to a local hardware store, True Value, and of course they have all of the same products that you can find at all of the other big box stores, roughly around the same price. When I looked at the products they had available, the house brand at my local hardware store was Green Thumb. And Green Thumb is a 2703 analysis, and it comes in at $41 for a 15,000 square foot bag, so very in line with where Home Depot and Lowe's are as far as pricing is concerned. But with that, you get a 27% urea, 13% of that is from a polymer-coated urea. You get 2% of the potassium chloride. Would have liked to see some of the muriate or the sulfate of potash in there, but with that, you also get 2% of the iron sucrate, so the better form of iron compared to the iron oxide. A lot of people go out and they buy the Ironite, thinking that they're going to get this massive green up. The Pennington Ironite product has iron oxide in it, so if you buy that product, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of return on your investment. You're going to have some diminishing returns there because of the type of iron that it has in the bag. So if you're looking for an iron source, definitely look for iron sucrate. So the Green Thumb product is actually pretty good. I would definitely use this. I think it's a good product. I think compared to some of the more name brand things like Scotts and Lesco, you're going to get a really good result from the Green Thumb. This would not deter me from using this product. And then there are some other online comps out there that can be a little bit more expensive just due to shipping costs. That's a given. Shipping is going to be pretty expensive for a 45 or 50 pound bag of fertilizer, but in those products you're going to get polymer coated urea, muriate of potash, iron oxide, the same things that you're going to find in the house brand fertilizers that you can get at a big box store locally. Same inputs you're going to find from a bag of Scotts. And I think people, for the most part, are kind of deterred from going and buying the house brand fertilizers from big box stores, basically because they think that the Scotts products are better. But I think what we've determined in looking at these labels is that it's a lot of the same. All of these manufacturers are using the same inputs in all of these products. They're just a little bit different makeups and a little bit different concentrations in the bag, but for the most part, everything is the same. Now, if you want to be a little bit more advanced, you can do some shopping at some local agricultural supply stores or turf and ornamental shops, and you can buy all of these ingredients and mix them on your own. This is something that I've been doing and trying out on my lawn. I had really good results from this last year, where I bought some ammonium sulfate, I bought a little bit of urea, I bought a stabilized urea, and then I also have some sulfate of potash, and I apply this basically in a custom formulation for what I need to apply to my lawn based on the soil test. These are all things that you can do, and generally you can save a little bit of money by doing this, especially if you have the equipment, if you have the spray equipment to actually apply this. This is a good option for you. But I do think if you go to the big box stores and you're looking to save some money, or even your local hardware stores, and you buy those white labeled or the house brand fertilizers, I think you're going to be surprised that the results you get are not going to be much different, if not at all different, from some of the name brand fertilizers you can get out there, because as we've determined, they all have the same ingredients. There's really nothing proprietary in these special products or these name brand products that make them better than the others. They all have the same inputs. So now that you've watched this video, I hope that you have the confidence to walk into a store, flip over a bag of fertilizer, confidently read the label that you see, and be able to make a determination on buying fertilizers based on what you need, not based on what you want to buy just because you think one name is better than the other. Because really all it comes down to is not the name on the bag, but the ingredients that are actually in that bag of fertilizer. So if you have any questions or input on this, leave some comments down in the comments section. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.